you.
So at this time, I would like to invite up Carolann Deselms, and we're going to talk about prayer today. So just kind of get comfortable with that idea. And she's going to talk first with you about kind of the preamble to prayer, and then I'm going to talk with you about Unity's 5-step prayer process. So welcome, Carolann.
Good morning. Yes, I am Carolann, and thank you. And I've been a prayer chaplain about 25 years now. I was a prayer chaplain in another church, and when it closed, the chairs came up with me, and with Jeanette, and we're happy to be here. I think so, right? Okay, before I start talking about affirmative prayer, I have a little story for you. It's about a cat and a mother mouse. Now, Mother Mouse was out with her 4 babies for their morning walk, and when they turned the corner of the house, guess what? There was the house cat. Now, Mother Mouse, she was aware that this might be a problem, and the cat was getting ready to pounce. Mother Mouse was really worried. What should I do? What should I do? And suddenly she just puffed herself up and looked at that cat and said, "Arf, arf." And the cat was astonished and ran away. The cat was going to go think about it before she tried that again. Mother Mouse looked at her babies and she said, "Children, I want you to always remember that it's good to have a second language." And of course, I was a second language teacher for many, many years, and so I like that story a lot. But it also tells us that we're in a time when new prayer or affirmative prayer is another language about prayer and how to use prayer. So I'm going to, let's see.
Slide.
Let's turn to a slide here. And Microsoft and I had an argument last week, and I was not able to print some things, so I have my other. So I'll be reading a couple of things here too. The positive prayer uses denials and affirmations. And so we're gonna try that, and that's why I've given everybody should have half a sheet of paper. And so we will look at what are these denials and what are these affirmations. And this comes from Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. Hypatia Hasbrook has written a book about how to make positive prayer. So the denial is not, so if I'm sick, I'm not gonna say, "I'm not really sick." I'm not going to deny that I have some kind of problem, that maybe I need to see a doctor, or I'm angry at someone. Maybe I should stop and reorder my thinking. So we have problems, but we deny that they are power over us. We do not have to give them power and say, "I'm so sick, I can't do anything, and nobody loves me," and go on and on in a negative way. We don't need to do that. we can say instead, whatever this problem is does not determine my life. I have the choice of praying in a positive way about that. And we also recognize that God, there is no spot where God is not. God is everywhere. So God is in us, around us. God is the universe. God is here. And so, what is prayer then? My author here, Larry Dossey, says, power is an attitude of the heart, a matter of being, not doing. So we can be silent. We have meditation with silence. That's a form of prayer. Meister Eckhart, a mystic from the 13th century in Germany, said, if you can just say thank you, that is enough. Thank you is a prayer. So sometimes when we can say that everything we say is a prayer, or everything we think is a prayer. And so we don't want to do all that negative stuff. We're in the wrong place in our minds. So let's see here, the denial. Negative situations, conditions and circumstances that appear negative are not denied. It's their power. So we don't need to say, I'll never be able to do anything again. No. I deny their power. So we're going to look a little closer at denials and affirmations. And so when we had the women's group, each time we met, I would have everyone say with me this particular denial. This particular denial is from an English fellow from the 19th century who used this in his teachings. And he said, and so I'll say it for you and then we can say it together. This is for whatever ails us. No one and no thing has any power to deplete our good. Or you can say I. Let's say use I instead of you. No one and no thing has any power to deplete my good. Okay. You may not believe that, but keep saying that because we make our choices. I believe that's number 3. We make our choices. I could say negative things about myself. I can't do it. Or I can say, I am an expression of God. And so I can do this if I choose to do this. So, let's see. That's on the slide. Okay, before we go to the affirmations, if you have a specific affirmation and denial, your denial can be, just because I lost my job does not mean I am poor and wretched and in horrible shape. We can deny that this contains huge amounts of disorder for me. So but then we don't want to sit there in that part. Then we want to go on to what it is that we want. So if I'm feeling sick, I can say, God is with me, or I make my own affirmation. Do I have one up there? We can go up onto the affirmation. Yeah, so, here's the denial. Say we're sick. This diagnosis is powerless to keep my good from me. Or my neighbor's craziness is powerless to ruin my day. Or last week is powerless to keep me from having a good life, or to keep away the good in our community. So we choose whatever it is that we want to deny because it's bothering us. Okay, so the affirmation up here, God's healing life flows through me now, because that's true. There is no spot where God is not. So in me, there is healing power right now, thank you God. Or we can go on. But we have to believe that. When you say something over and over again, it helps you arrive at believing that. So don't keep repeating negative things, because you can get yourself stuck in a negative place. Instead, we use the affirmations. So on the little piece of paper you've got there, think of something that you don't want that you have. Maybe you have an HVAC that's failing, like the church has. Okay, you say, this condition is powerless to ruin my life. But you can pick something else. If you're looking for a new job, the lack of a job I want is not ruining my life. Or for forgiveness, if somebody has insulted you or made you feel angry, again, that kind of behavior is powerless to keep my good from me. So think of something that is scary, or like last week. So when you have whatever that is that you're worried about, you can, if it's a choice you have to make, you can say, God gives me good judgment. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for the good judgment that you are giving me now. So when we get to an affirmation, we want to put it in the present tense, because it is now true. When we're thinking about it, God is right there. So in the present tense, thank you, God, for your healing help. Or thank you, God, for the guidance you are giving me to deal with difficulty. Or if you've had some disagreement with someone, you might say, divine wisdom is giving me the guidance I need. Thank you, God. Or thank you, Spirit. If you're asking for feeling better or happy or joyous, you can say, my negative feelings do not run my life. They are powerless over my life. And then say, thank you, God, for the joy of this day. Or maybe you have a specific thing that has uplifted you a little bit. Then say that. How are you doing? Do you have a denial? Okay, so if you have your denial and then you have your positive right after that, because we want to finish uplifted. Okay, does that help with making affirmative prayer? Well, fantastic.
Yay. Thank you,
And
Carol. Yeah.
It's Reverend Carol's turn.
Thanks, Carol. Here. I'm gonna help you down.
Oh,
I don't want you to trip down the stairs.
okay, no tripping around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. It made denials. So denials we always do first, because you must clean it out the cobwebs. If you were going to clean out a room, you would clean out the stuff that you didn't want before you put in all your new crap, right? So, and not that affirmations are crap, but
Yeah.
sorry about that analogy. But when you clean out your spiritual attic, and Charles Fillmore used to say, do it gently. Your denials, do them gently, like clearing away cobwebs, gently. Because you don't want the cobwebs to go all over the room, so we gently do our denials, and then we boldly, we claim in our affirmations. Now, Unity has a 5-step prayer process, and if it was on the test, you would have to remember that Royal Canadian Mounties ride thoroughbreds. But you don't have to, you're not taking your ministerial exam like I did. Royal Canadian Mounties ride thoroughbred, which stands for relax, concentrate, meditate, release, and give thanks. So when we say our prayers, there's now that you have your denials and your affirmations, and the affirmations are really the beginning of the prayer that's in your heart. There's something that has to happen where you start off and you have to relax. You have to connect the heart and the mind. Let your mind go away and move to your heart space when you first start to pray. So that's part of relaxing. Know the presence of God within you, affirming that oneness. I know when I am not aligned with God, because here's how I look. I'm cursing at the TV, I'm upset at the guy driving in front of me, I'm upset. That tells me I'm out of alignment with God. So I bring myself back into alignment. And then you concentrate. You release the thoughts of the world. You have to let go of this human self to find that spirit self. Think about the eternal presence in your life. Focus your mind on a single thought or idea. Repeat it over and over. This could be your affirmation until that becomes your only thought. Now, we used to have people that came to this church, and one in particular said, I really want prosperity. I really need prosperity. Please help me pray for prosperity. So we came up with affirmations, and I was working with her on really working this prosperity thing to manifest. But in every time I talked with her after prayer, she'd say, but I'm poor and I'm always going to be poor. My mother was poor, my father was poor, my family was poor, and I'm always going to be poor. And I said, then that's your prayer right there. You're negating the whole half hour we just did with the thoughts that are within you. So when we talk about that mind-heart connection, in your heart of hearts, know your truth. Know that you are not your family, or not what they told you you were. You are you. Then you meditate. Allow a focused state of mind to move you into deeper awareness of God, good, divine mind. Be still and know that I am God. So there's a difference between concentrating and meditating. Concentrating still has myself in it. Meditating, I've dropped to that heart, I've opened up to God. Then realization from the depths of your being. know that you are an expression of the divine. I am an expression of God. This knowing and realization is the holy presence of spirit, and it's silent soul communion. This is the place where you're really communing and having communion with God, is when you realize and you know that you know that you know the truth. And then the last step is always let gratitude fill your heart. Give thanks. Royal Canadian Mounties Ride Thoroughbreds, the last T is thanks. For giving thanks. And I love that quote from Meister Eckhart. If the only prayer you say is thank you, you're telling the universe, I want more of this. Thank you, God, yes, please. So any questions about denials and affirmations or the 5-step prayer process? I'm going to share with you the denial and the affirmation that I wrote while I was sitting there. I am a spiritual being, living, moving, and have my being in a human world that has no power over me. I affirm a world of love and peace. We cannot, my friends, we cannot spiritually bypass things that happen. We cannot spiritually bypass this past week and what's happened. We live in Los Angeles, where we were one of the first to experience the agents and the National Guard, and whichever side you're on is whatever side you're on. But you cannot help noticing man's inhumanity to man is on full display. You cannot help but notice that. So to say that I give it to God and God handles it, it's kind of like, oh, I'm handing it over to another deity. I'm handing it over to all-powerful Oz God. Did anybody believe in Oz God? Yeah, I believed in Oz God too. That will handle it. God is not a human figure. God is order itself. God is divine order. God is order itself. But it's order in our consciousness, in one's own consciousness. I am order demonstrating through orderly and thoughtful actions. I am that order. So while we don't want to spiritually bypass and say, well, you know, those people, they kind of deserve that. We don't want to kind of go there. Whichever side you're on, come back to the middle, where God is all, and we are one. And whatsoever you do to the least of my brother, that you do unto me. And as you are there, take it in. Now, I tried to take this in so much that they had this prayer for a tyrant that Lowell Fillmore, Charles Fillmore's son, had written. And I tried to do pray for a tyrant, but I didn't believe the prayer. And I made myself physically sick. I started to get problems with my tummy and problems with my internal organs because I was saying a prayer that I was trying to believe. I really tried to believe it, but I couldn't do it. Spiritually, I'm not there yet. God's still working on me, okay? I'm not Jesus yet. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to let that in. And that's what I want to be. But this is an opportunity for us to search within ourselves for that warmonger that's within us, for that people-hating part of us that judges that guy that cuts us off, or that maybe smells bad that we have to pass on the street. That part of us that envies. and is greedy. This is the call for the prayer. And when we do our spiritual work, when we do this work within and we root it out of our consciousness in prayer, we affect the consciousness of the world. So when I root it out in myself, it's why we sing that song every single week. We sing, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Not let it begin with Tim because he's more peaceful than I am. Believe me, he's more peaceful than I am. Let it begin with me. So I want to read something from, I'm not a big Marianne Williamson guru, but I want to read you what she said. If you pray, pray. If you organize, organize. If you meditate, meditate. If there's a peaceful protest in your neighborhood, protest. If people are gathering to share meaningful information, show up. If you have a phone, call your congresspeople. If there's a newspaper that you read, write a letter to the editor. If you see something posting a lie, post the truth. If you see someone posting the truth, spread it around. If you feel you should run for office, run. If you write a Substack or a book, write. If you do a podcast, podcast. Look deep within yourself and ask the God of your understanding how you might help. No one of us, or even 1,000 of us, is going to make all the difference. This is not a moment when power is of the soloist, but of the choir. Every one of us can sing our note. Goes back to our first song. And if we do, the music will be the music of the angels. So I want to stop and I just want to have a moment of silence. And let your mind go to wherever you want to send peace. As we send peace and we declare divine order, we send it there. And so it is.